Rolando was an overactive kid, excitable. But to his father, my brother Marcel, he was hyper, always running around and picking up stuff for a minute, and then running to some other part of the house. And my brother could tell where Rolando was at all times because he could hear him screaming bloody murder because of some shit with his brother Ernesto, and then laughing like the devil as he got away after getting his brother back. Rolando was always raising up a storm, temperamental, never sat still, and when he was still, like to draw, he knelt, so he had to raise up when he said something, anything. It didn't matter who was there to hear. He just made some comment like, "Red sucks. If you only got a red crayon, that sucks. You gotta have more colors." And if no one was around, Rolando would just start screaming for his father until he came. Pop! Papa! Rolando was wild, untamed, never a moment's rest, man. According to my brother, he was fucking mental, as we used to say as kids in the neighborhood. He played too much, messed around too much, teased his big brother and older cousins too much. He jibber-jabbered to no end, man. He was volatile, mercurial, but in a good way. Rolando was lively, full of it, didn't do anything half-assed. He threw himself into whatever mess, fun he could get into with unbridled enthusiasm. Sometimes reckless, once in a while dangerous. That fucking kid, Marcel would say, rolling his eyes and shaking his head. Holy shit! Unable to muster up anything else except for that fucking kid. And then a chuckle. Not being able to help himself because at the heart of it all, the little dude was exceptionally funny, had a wit beyond his years, and my brother often told me that Rolando reminded him that many family members said Rolando reminded them of me. Marcel would raise his brow and wag a finger at me and say, "Just like you, man," especially that temper. Loquacious, constantly ruminating, always coming up with shit, easily triggered and got mad to tears, but sassy and charming. A fucking whippersnapper, as the English used to say, and some fucking long ass time ago. He was precocious, and I often told Rolando I knew he was gunning for his tío Tonio. "You ain't me, young blood. I know I'm not you. I'm me," he snapped. "But I see you trying to be like me. Think you funny, think you hip, but you ain't slick, sobrino. Yeah? So what's up then? What?" And he would step to me like he knew anything about barrio culture. Little soft-ass suburbanite Nika, but all up against me. His little bony chest puffed out. He was built just like Marcel, who I saw in Rolando. Fist out to his sides and chin up in the air like a Hollywood cholo. Then I'd smother him in a bear hug and jab him playfully in the ribs, whispering, "You ain't so bad. You ain't so bad." It was late in the afternoon when Toño finally sat down and caught some news. He asked Melly if she had heard what happened in Orlando. Yes, she said. She heard about it early in the morning. The radio cut the music to break the story. 49 people dead. I saw another report from the continuous television coverage on the TV above the treadmill. But this one was different, in particular because the faces of the dead were finally broadcast. It struck me how young the majority of the victims were, how young and beautiful and promising and happy they were. Stanley Almodovar, 23. Oscar Aracena, 26. Omar Capo, 20. Peter O. Gonzalez Cruz, 22. Juan Ramon Guerrero, 22. My eyes welled up and something leapt out of me when Rolando's face came on a little more than halfway through the slideshow. Rolando Antonio Padilla, 21. It had been almost a week and I had been trying to keep things together like Marcel wanted for us to do. Marcel wanted to find peace quickly. There was a small gathering and brief service because nothing could ever suffice. It would never be right. So the best thing for everyone was to get on, man. Let go. He didn't want to hear it anymore. As sudden as everything had occurred, he would spend as much time in grief. Fuck everybody. He was done. So everybody should do the same. All right, blood. If you need me, I'm cool, bro, he said. I know, man, but for whatever reason, blood. And he said he was cool, but I need you too. Blood, we're all in pain. Not like me, bro. Okay, Marcel, but I'm here, I'm around. And he waved me off and sent me back on my path, got me to my routine and finding ways to distract myself, walking, running, and making sure I got to the gym by a certain hour. But it was too soon. It would forever be too soon, and I could not still the hurt and did not hold back the tears too well as the broadcast rolled. Marcel said Rolando had been struck 4 times. Once through the cheek that fragmented his beautiful boy, ruined his perfect smile. That's why he had decided to have Rolando cremated, because he couldn't stand for anyone else to see him in that condition. That was not Rolando. It wasn't who he had become, and Marcel wanted to keep that perfect smile intact for everyone else. But then, as the faces slid by, and each image had a sincere smile, or a shy grin, or a selfie sneer, I began to smile myself, bigger the more I thought of that precocious little boy, a joyful fury, aggressive and rough, kind and thoughtful. That little boy that used to gun for me and try to outwit me, that grew into a man taller than me, which wasn't saying much, as Rolando used to say, reminding his Tío Toño that he was a bitty-ass dude. Tío Pipsqueak, Tío Small Fry. As I ran, I began to laugh out loud as I picked up the pace, feet pounding hard, thinking about that young face, how funny he was, how accomplished he was, how proud Rolando made us all. I would have that with me always. My prima hermana Marisol used to say that she was fearful, seriously afraid of the day that our grandmother would die. From the day Marisol was born, our grandmother loved her infinitely. It was an enormous love that would not end after death. Marisol knew that our grandmother would follow her even after she died, and Mari was fearful to turn around one day and see our abuela Mercedes standing there. Man, I hoped it would be like that with Rolando, that I would be walking down the street in the Mission, which was appropriate because the Mission was always a stomping ground for our dear ones, and I would see him. I was enormously thrilled and pleased at the thought of turning one day to find Rolando dashing around a corner, snickering, playful, forever playful.